We're going to talk to Michael Modecki, who's the founder of platebroker.com, because we've talked about the price of vanity license plates, how much they can go for worldwide, why certain plates are so expensive that don't seem to make sense to us, but maybe they're expensive in Dubai. And this notion of like domain names in the late 90s, if you could lock on to one that said Ferrari or Shelby or Mustang or something like that, then that would be worth a lot if you were to sell that to somebody. Much like athletes who had a number could sell it. And there's stories of athletes with a number, and then a new guy gets traded, and then he wants his old number, but you have his old number, and then he'll sell it to you. Could give it to you, but he'll sell it to you.
Yeah, we talked about some of these plates, and they were being sold for, well, how much were like the most expensive ones? Like millions. Yeah, and this guy Michael, he's brokered some of those. Those are some of his deals. So
numbers seem to be the most sought after ones. Was that correct?
Numbers are like MM was one of them.
Yeah, and the number you can't do a single digit. So I hear, but let's talk to Michael. Michael,
hi, how's it going?
Good. So, well, walk us through this, because it's something I've kind of been fascinated with for a while.
Sure. Plates, the resale of plates has been a big deal pretty much everywhere overseas except the United States. And, because it's essentially the last true, like, one-of-one item that is guaranteed to be authentic by the government, by design and function, it has to be unique. And so in Dubai, they've had these auctions where they've reached astronomical prices. Like the world record was just beaten over Easter weekend. It was $15 million plate. And the world record before that stood for 15 years at $14.3 million US dollars. And so it seems like this industry is just ripe for California and the U.S. And in some states in the U.S. it exists right now, but in California we're like in the like domain name market back in the 1990s. We're kind of seeing the ramp up to something big happening.
What was the world record setting plate? What did it say on it?
So the world record that was beat, the one that just set the record is the license plate P7, and that was in Dubai. The P is actually very small. It's almost like an issue number or an issue, like you would have a certain issue of plates. But the number 7 is very prominent. So a single digit is what commands a lot of money in the UAE.
And
it just looks like 7.
Is there any significance to 7, or is it just a single-digit part?
It was a single-digit part, and I believe the buyer, who they speculate it's a French Emirati billionaire, like 15.2 billion net worth. Apparently the guy liked the number 7. A lot of this is subjective, it may not be worth anything to this other guy, but for someone they might be a lucky number, or they might be an athlete with a certain number, or whatever the significance is to them.
What was the most expensive plate sold before that at 14.3 or 2 or 3?
That was in Abu Dhabi, and it was the number 1 on a series, I believe series number 5 plate. So on the plate, you'll have a red number 5 on the side, but it was number 1 that was prominent in the middle.
So would there be like a vanity plate that said Ferrari in Texas and one in California and one in Massachusetts? There's like, a Ferrari for every state in the union?
Yeah, pretty much.
Are more
depending
states
on
worth
how many letters are allowed on the plate, for sure.
And then I would assume a Ferrari license plate in California would be worth more than one in Idaho or New Mexico.
Yeah, for sure. You look at things like population and the number of cars that are on the road and the amount of money in the state's overall culture. Like California is perfect because it's the 5th highest GDP in the world if it were a country. It has 31 million registered vehicles, all that are eligible to put plates on. over 40 million residents. And I believe this LA County has almost as much money as the entire UAE. And so when you think of that, like it's surprising it hasn't happened in California.
But what percentage of these people are doing it? And it's not really an answerable question, but I assume some people buy art because they like the artist and they want to hang it on the wall, and then others are doing it for an investment.
Mm-hmm.
And so they think if you could get hold of Ferrari in California for $1 million, you could sell it for $5 million in 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's essentially, it's almost like an unintentional investment. A lot of these guys who have held onto their plates for 30, 40, 50 years are seeing the potential that because they've had it for so long. I mean, it's there. I don't know if you saw, there was the plate that says cash, CASH in California. It's been the same owner since essentially the day that California started selling vanity plates. He went down and bought that plate, and now 50 odd years later, he's selling it for $2 million. And he was one of my first clients.
Yeah, it's his initials too, Adam.
Oh, and it's on a roll. So that may be my dad. I got to check into this. I got to open that man's garage. He's got so many Rollses in there. I'm not sure if I've seen the cash plate on one. So he bought the cash in 50 years ago. I'm trying to think when these things came out.
I want to say it's 1970, 71 or 72 is when they came out. So 51 years.
In the same dude, or is he kind of passed it on like you can do with season season seats for the Yankees?
It's the same guy.
Wow.
He's in his 80s now. He's retired. He was a Silicon Valley attorney, came up with, all the .com guys. And now he's got this plate that's, I think it has to be worth something to someone, especially with, hip hop culture and just the performers and artists all in town. I think cash is a pretty awesome plate to have.
And is the actual plate worth anything, or is it just it's because it's
the
your
ownership?
Plate? It's the ownership,
yeah.
Yeah, it's the value is in the ability to register the actual configuration. The actual tangible plate doesn't mean anything. It's just a souvenir if you can't put it on your car legally.
Right, because people will rip them off.
Right, and I think what's funny now is you're seeing these digital plates in California.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a way to preserve the original, in my opinion. I mean, you keep the original at home and put the digital one in your car. If they rip off the digital one, they just get essentially a blank Kindle.
Does so a guy like that would use a guy like you, like, speaking of cars, somebody would use Gooding or RM, Sotheby's or something like that to sell their car. They would go, I want to use your platform to sell this car. You get to wet your beak, 10, 20%, something like that. You get the maximum amount. He'll set the reserve. If his reserve is too crazy, you'll try to talk him down, right?
Yeah, we haven't done an official, open auction platform yet. We essentially just list them for an asking price and entertain offers that come in. Mm-hmm. And essentially, I'm the back and forth. And because I have established essentially the momentum with this, people are trusting me with the more rare plates. But there's nothing really. It's almost like if there were other agents in real estate. I welcome healthy competition if someone else thinks they can do it better. But it's more of the idea if you're representing, I don't know, like Calabasas, and that market does really well and lifts, West Hills and Hidden Hills along with it, why not? I think we're all in it to benefit together.
But this must be,
and also,
yeah.
No, and also there are other states that this might be viable in too. I only know California because I'm originally from California. I've been buying plates since I was a kid.
Must have gotten laid a lot in high school.
I follow the rules there.
Well, and it also strikes me that it's sort of evolving. Like somebody might want to get COVID or Fauci or something.
Yeah, what are the trends right now?
We'd never heard of in the 2 years ago or 5 months ago.
Yeah, even recently, a guy is trying to sell the plate. It says no mask
Right.
I'm like, okay, I know exactly what that was purchased for. And then another one says like rent due, and he was trying to make a COVID reference there, and essentially selling me on whether or not I could sell it for him. And he's like, this is what I think it's worth. And people always ask me, like, can you give me a ballpark on what this is valued at? And I said no, because honestly, it's like the art market. It's entirely subjective. Someone may really, really want that somewhere else, and the idea is just to get it in front of those eyes and see if there is a transaction there.
The problem with something like no mask is it's great. I love it. I hate masks. I hate it that they lied to us about masks. But you wouldn't be able to drive that car through Santa Monica without getting rammed.
Yeah.
Like if you left that thing at a Sprouts Market in Santa Monica, it would get keyed for sure by some fucking Karen.
You know where I think they're going? If I was investing in license plates right now, I would just get a few emojis on there. I could see those coming up on license plates soon. That's the way we're all texting now.
Or just the word emoji.
We have that weird hand thing already in California. Let's just get some emojis on.
Oh, we got the hand on the license plate.
Yeah, there's the hand of the heart, the star, and the plus sign, I think, are the options there.
Dawson.
Hey, Michael, I don't know if you're a Dio fan or not, but back in 2018,
Ronnie James
Dio estate auctioned off a bunch of his belongings. They included 3 license plates, one California plate that said NIJI2. That doesn't matter. But a European Union plate that said Dio1.
Yeah, do the ones that matter.
And an Arizona plate that says Dio. And all 3 of these were on his vehicles and driven. And the auction closed, all 3 plates at $896.
That seems like
you're not actually buying. I don't think you can put them on your car.
Yeah.
Why can't you? Well, not the actual license plate, but you have buy the rights to Dio and then go get a new set of plates, right?
I bet this is just for the plates.
Doesn't that seem like an amazing bargain?
$800,
but still,
yeah. It kind of depends who you talk to, I guess. To you, Dawson.
Well,
yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, I would say that this industry, for the ability to register it, I mean, it's a very narrow group, but it's very deep, and so that's why you have probably the same group of guys in the UAE who are dropping the tens of millions of dollars on these plates, and there are a lot of guys who admittedly do it for the resale value. They're flipping them as assets out there. And so there are a lot of people who are buying it as the investment and are holding. And I believe there are guys now in California, at least, who say, I haven't seen it happen, who say they're running like scripts to see when the DMV re-releases plates back into their system.
Oh, because somebody's going to die and somebody's not going to renew, and then something cool is going to get back into the system.
Yeah, just like with domain name, there's a company called Dropcatch that they monitor when domain names expire and are re-released, and they essentially have bots fighting each other to see who can pounce on them first once they're back on the market. And that's essentially what we're seeing.
What is so Dubai's the big market here, the Middle East?
Middle East, yeah.
What is one that's not a number that is big time? Is Lambo, is Ferrari, like somebody Senna or something to do with a car, rather than just 2 numbers or 2 letters or something like that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I wonder
the biggest sales you see are numbers for sure.
Yeah, I bet a lot of the market isn't car guys, Adam. So I bet it's just guys who just like, oh yeah, a number is elite, like a low number, number 1.
Well, and it's also in a country where English isn't the first language, so a lot of them don't care about words that we would understand here in the States, and so I think that's also the reason why the market's a little different here as well. In Texas, their record is $115,000 for the plate 12th man, 12th man, because of I believe
Seattle,
Texas A&M, right? So that was a super fan bought that, and then they sold the number 3 for I want to say about $30,000, and then 0001 sold for $27,000. So they haven't had a six-figure sale in Texas at auction in a while, or since that 12th man plate. But the only way you can resell in Texas is if you bought at auction from the state. So their pool of resale is a lot smaller than California. California, any plate that's a vanity plate can be traded between people.
What is and I know you may not be privy to it, but I'm always curious what the vetting process is, because they're not going to let you put swear words on there, but they will let you put things that may sound like I don't know, there's a movie called Meet the Fockers. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, would they let
Schitt's
you put
Creek.
Fockers on there or Schitt's Creek on there if that, in fact, was your name? And then do they vet it? Like, if I just walked in there, my last name's Carolla, I want Mr. Focker on there. It's like, well, your last name's Carolla. But if I show them my ID and my last name is Focker, then do I get to do Mr. Focker?
Yeah, it's at the discretion of the DMV. Like, there are, like, the number 69 is the biggest one that gets rejected most of the time, any variation of that.
I like that one because if you flip your car, it still reads.
The same, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, right. And what's funny is they say it's reserved for cars that are, from 1969, year of manufacture, 1969.
Oh,
I was like, okay, I get that.
Okay.
They do have a list. They have a list of like 3-letter combinations that are banned from the general issuing. So like if you get a standard plate, I believe it's a number, 3 letters, and 3 numbers. Right now in California. And so those 3 letters, like, things like fat and sex and raw, are all banned from those issuings. And I believe that carries over into the vanity plates unless you have a compelling argument. Like you have to write a reasoning for the plate on the application. You have to explain what it means. And so they can reject it for any reason whatsoever. Like I tried to get Zero Fox. Zerofox, because it's close to Zero Fox, right? And I was like, okay. It got rejected. Things, because it's like, we understand it depends on who's rejecting it. Like, they give you a reason, and it's almost like this person's chuckling at me, like, we know what you're trying to do. It's not going to happen.
But,
I'm like, all right, well, I have to try.
My feeling with something like Zero Fox is just you have on a technicality. Like, it may sound like Zero Fox, just like Meet the Fockers sounds like Meet the Fuckers, but we still get to put it on a billboard.
Yeah, it's clever.
But you probably shouldn't start your letter with "Dear dumbest people from their high school." Please consider my request. Platebroker.com is where you go. I hope you can check in with us periodically, Michael, because I think this is kind of an interesting and kind of burgeoning, like, you should go to Texas and see what you can lock in. Although a little disappointing to me that it's not Ferrari or Lambo or something like that it's just numbers that are fetching the highest dollar so far.
Well, but in California, I really think because of, I think California is going to see popularity in things that are shorter numbers, shorter words, full words without the weird abbreviations that you have to sit there and guess.
Right.
That's where the value is going to be. And I really think that this is definitely like buying domain names in 1996, because who thought buying FB.com in 1997 was going to yield them $8 million when Facebook wanted it?
Wow.
You never know. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Somebody bought AdamCarolla.com in 1999, and I was like, enjoy.
Hey, there's a law in place now for cyber squatting. You can probably get it back if you can find if it's not owned by a person named Adam Carolla. I might be able to get it.
I knew my buddy Danny Two Sheets Kellison knew somebody in that world and made a phone call and got it back later on when I needed it. But someone did buy my name. Domain. And listen, I'm flattered. That's just a feather in my cap. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.